Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. Here we go again, folks. It's Innovation Unplugged, a production of the ACCS Innovation Center. My name's Houston Blackwood. I'm the workforce director for this group. I've got my partner in crime, Brandi Merrill, Director of Curriculum Design for the Innovation Center, and our amazing special guest and near and dear to my heart, Doug Brazier, Director of Workforce Solutions at Calhoun Community College.
Glad to be here, guys.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of interesting folks come on the show, and colleges and some not college staff, but we've never had what I would say a local personality, radio voice guy.
We have a legend?
He's really?
Myth,
legend.
Too much.
Explain.
Studio. No. So as the listeners, as we go through this, you'll hear Doug has a voice for radio, and a face for radio.
I was waiting on that. I was waiting on that one.
He's a handsome guy.
I didn't know this.
But Doug he's got that MC announcer voice, good radio voice, and so it was good. But
he's talking about, I do the in-stadium announcing for football and basketball at Grissom High School.
Do you really?
That's my son went to Grissom. He graduated year before last, and when he was a freshman, they said, we need an announcer for basketball. And I'm like, has anybody have any radio experience or been on TV or anything like that? And I'm just like, yeah, sure, I could do it. So I had to learn on the fly to be the in-game announcer. And then football came to me, and they wanted me to do the home games for Grissom. So it's fun.
That's impressive. I mean, the amount of mental acuity for every moment to know what is happening on a field, like there's no mental break there.
No, it's a lot. I have drafted one of my buddies that I've coached soccer with for many years to be my spotter.
Yeah.
Because in football, you have to have a spotter because you got the rosters and you're trying to find the names on the roster, and then you're trying to figure out who made the tackle. And so he's got the binoculars. I told him, I said, we just need to get some mics up here and go live on the radio, and we just do color and play-by-play.
Yeah.
But
oh, wow.
It would be fun. But
it's interesting. So my sons are freshmen, and they said, hey, can you work the clock for the home games? Like, okay, no problem. Man, that is stressful. Because, like, there are, 5,000 people watching that, and they need to know if it's first down, second down. And then if the play-by-play guy ever says 3rd and 7, and you've got 3rd and 9, people are looking at the press box.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, y'all, listen, there's a lot of buttons up here. Calm down.
And sometimes you just got to guess.
Oh, yeah.
And you just wing it.
Especially if you're in the press box and it's way on the far corner, like in the corner down by the goal line. You can't tell if it's 3 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah, it is.
And then the referees are
3rd and short.
Slow. Yeah, it's going to probably.
And the names.
Yeah.
I mean, do you prep the names before they ever take the field?
If they look really difficult, yes. But I've had a lot of practice too with Calhoun announcing their graduation.
Yeah.
So there's lots of names, so you get a good feel for names.
Sure.
And plus, my last name is Brazier. Right? People butcher it all the time. And so I'm cognizant. I try to make sure what somebody's last name is. So.
Yeah.
I know. I went from being a Smith, which was, nobody ever asked me how to spell that, pronounce it, whatever. It was just always spot on. And now with the last name, which 25 years later, last name of Merrill, I have heard it butchered 1,000 different ways. And there is not a conversation where somebody asks my name that it's not, can you spell that? So going from Smith to Merrill was, Lord, that was life-changing.
It's funny. I get it. Yeah, my signature's funny. I was Butterweed one time. Harrison Butterweed. I signed something. That's what they called me. Anyway, this is not what we came here to talk about today.
It's great. I will remember that, though. I will store that one away. So to be brought out
it's his
in
new
the future.
nickname.
I looked at that lady. I'm like, what? And she knew me. Like, it wasn't like we just met. Anyway.
That's hilarious.
Hey, Doug, we've known each other a pretty long time. Yeah. Probably longer than anybody else in the college system. It's kind of an interesting thing. Walk that out, this may not make any sense to the audience. They don't care. Our number one fan, I know, will listen and she'll appreciate it. But no, that's my mom. but no one else will care. But just walk that out, like just how long we've known each other, because it was such a unique crux, and really like what we do now together would have really helped that story if it had been here a long time ago.
At that time, I guess the time when we first met, I was working student services, and you had came to work at Calhoun. I think you were a project manager at that point. Mm-hmm. And we would just kind of bounce things off each other because I was at the recruiting events and different things, and you would sit up at the workforce solutions tables sometimes, and we would just we didn't really know each other. We just were in the circle and watched how each other operated. And then when you moved over and took over as interim director there at Workforce in Workforce Solutions, if I can talk, I can't even speak this morning. Not enough coffee yet. I think it was just a sidebar conversation one day. You were picking my brain. Looking back on it, I know what you were doing. You were just trying to see if I'd be interested if you moved over to director.
I wouldn't go that far that early. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but you're right. You're exactly right.
And then when you moved over there, we had the actual conversation about it. You know, hey, is this something you would be interested in doing? And as the job opened up, I interviewed, and then I come to work over there for you as your business developer, and you moved on, and I took over as an interim director and became director, and you were at the Innovation Center, and so our ability to work together has just kept on moving. Yeah. And that familiarity once again, as I stumble over my words.
It's a big word.
It is. It's a lot. It's a lot for a North Alabama boy to
say
something
syllables.
like that sometimes.
A couple syllables in there.
Yeah. Even one that announces sometimes it's tough. But that's helped us in being able to move forward, especially knowing how each other think a lot of times too.
That's scary, but good. I mean, that is.
It is. And I have not actually thought about that whole story until driving in this morning. Just that probably the most consistent thing about working for the community college system has been Doug. Which is like
it could have been worse.
That's a very sweet moment.
No, but it is and I mean that with, just like when you step back and look at where you are and what you're doing, like who all was in that, and we talk about it all the time, but who all was in that circle and in that winding pathway. Mm-hmm. So you've always been there. And you're right. I saw that because I don't know if there was a director, business developer. When Courtney left, it we all did all of it and then branched out. But I saw that. So you're always looking for that succession plan. It's gone well. Seems to have gone well for you.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's
looking at some of these notes up here I was making earlier on the drive down.
So where'd you come from?
Yeah, tell us that story. What's the Doug Brazier origin story?
Oh my God,
it's like Iron Man.
I mean, you could give the abbreviated version or the long version, either way. But who is Doug?
It's going to sound like it's going to take a really long time, but I can't tell the story without telling a little bit of my dad's story.
Okay.
Right. So, so I'm the youngest of 5 children. I've got 2 brothers and a sister who could be my parents. Mm-hmm. Right. So dad was about 20 years older than mom. Mm-hmm. He learned a diesel mechanic trade in the Navy. When he got out, he was general manager for lots of car dealerships, big truck dealerships, things like that. When I was young, he had a job in Virginia, and my dad was, he was like a quiet John Wayne and Bear Bryant type person.
Ooh.
Right?
Sounds terrifying.
All mom had to do was threaten us. Wait till your dad gets home.
Now, was he tall like you? Is that where you got it?
No, he's about 6 foot.
Okay.
My mom's mom's dad was about 6'5".
Because if he was like John Wayne, Bear Bryant, and 6'5",
yeah,
nope, I'm moving out.
That is scary.
Not doing it.
So when he left, they were doing some things that he didn't think was kosher, and he wasn't going to be a part of. So he moved back here. It was in the 70s. The economy wasn't good. He started his own business, going around 20 years ahead of the game, doing mobile diesel mechanic work. And I grew up in that with him. Me and my next oldest brother, Mike, who's 5 years older than I am. And so I grew up every Saturday and Sunday. The only time we'd stop was for church on Sunday or Alabama football on Saturday, but we worked all day, Saturdays and Sundays, working on trucks. And then about the time I was just getting out of high school and starting college, we got the International Truck Dealership. And so for the next 10, 12 years or so, I had worked my way into vice president of sales. So I was over truck sales, parts sales, all that kind of stuff. And when we sold that, got mom and dad retired, no golden parachute for me and my brother. Got them retired, and we worked 6-month contracts, and I was done. So I was like, what am I going to do? And I searched around, looked for things, talked to a few people, and then somebody suggested, why don't you go to Calhoun? You'd be great out in the community talking to people. So I went to Calhoun for what I thought was just a meet and greet. They said, you want to interview right now? It was a part-time job. I said, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Got the part-time job, and then I've been at Calhoun for about 15 years. So student services, learning the world of higher education for about 10, 12 years, and then move into workforce is just like a perfect meld of my background. So there you go. That's the encapsulated short version.
Love it. So how do you think growing up with, all of those varied stories of your parents, how do you think that's affected how you interact with students? Like watching how they worked and the changes that they made. And I'm sure there were hard times with five siblings and changing of career paths. Like, how does that affect your ability to communicate with those students who oftentimes don't know what they want to do either?
Well, there was Dad, and he was in his 50s and couldn't find a good job and created one just off of having a skill, right? So that's an easy sell. Being in business, when you're in business for yourself, if you don't sell, you don't eat, right? So learning that, some of the biggest takeaways that I ever had from what, Dad taught us was, if you take care of the customer, the rest will take care of itself. And you treat everybody like you want to be treated, right? And so when you look and you see people and they're so limited sometimes they can't see the forest for the trees, I was there. When I walked out of there the Friday before Christmas in 2007, I was like, what am I going to do? But I knew I wasn't going to do it there, right? It was time for a change.
Oh, man, that's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've been there in their shoes. And I say, listen, you have to use this opportunity, if you don't know where to go, to think outside the box. What are you going to do now? What would you like to do? Where do you want to go from here? Because even if you just learn a short-term skill, that might open up so many more possibilities.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's fun. I'm always trying to rescue somebody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Drawing on those personal experiences. And I think, that's crucial because that's what creates connection with people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because otherwise it's just lip service. But when you can say, I have walked the walk, I have taught that I've been where you are, I can draw off of those experiences and, hey, I was you, or I think I know who you are, so let me tell you my story. That so oftentimes is what somebody needs to hear at just that right moment of there is a path forward. Here are opportunities.
Yeah, and you've got to be positive.
Yeah.
Say, look, this is a tough situation for you right now, but you know what? You can come over here, and in 3 weeks, I could get you a job making $36 an hour.
Yeah.
We could flip your life around right now. Just give me some time. I can get you a CDL. Maybe you don't want to drive a truck for the rest of your life, but if you get in with that CDL, you might work your way into a foreman or who knows, right? So it's fun.
How often do students, and I say students, and that could be anybody from a 10th grader at Grissom High School to a 50-year-old who got laid off and come back and looking for that course, how often do you hear their story and really understand where they're coming from? Because I know you're busy. Not that you don't care, don't take the time, but sometimes you're not going to be in front of the students all the time.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it's very rare for you to have that right or that privilege. So how often do you get to hear that story and really have some interaction in driving that person towards the thing to that solution?
I don't get to do it as often as I used to, right? So when I was on the student services side,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of advising,
Yep.
right? So when I started, that's how I started, was an advisor. So I got to meet people one-on-one. And then when I moved into recruiting, I was still out and about. Now that we moved over into workforce, I kind of look at it. I took the big picture look at it, though. Instead of being able to help ones and twos of people,
Yeah.
now I can create programs that'll help hundreds of people. And I really think, you know, I'm big on my faith, and I think the good Lord put me here to do that and allow me to continue to help people with that. But I do take those opportunities when I can to go and have that one-on-one.
And instilling that in your team, you've done that. So you've taken, you know, your passion for that and you've imparted it on a whole team. And so kind of that exponential thought as well that, hey, I may not can, you know, be in the moment every day affecting 1 and 2 and 3 students, but if I, you know, instill my passion in this team, then they can exponentially grow that footprint to be able to go out and touch people.
And I have a great team.
Yeah.
I have great people that I get to work with every day.
You do.
And that's the thing, you know, and we never lose sight of it. We have that success story. I always make sure this is why we're here, guys. Yes, we need to take care of industry. Yes, we have to do the rest, but we're here to affect people's lives. And so,
Speaking of growth and affecting lives, so I did this math this morning. Now, you know, we have this invoice board and we track all that, completers that way. And so by the end of I say not really the spring, but not the summer board and not the fall invoice board, but just through the original invoice board and original invoices for Skills for Success. How many people do you think y'all have served through Skills for Success?
This is like Jeopardy. Da-na-na.
from July 23. Is that what you're talking about? Maybe.
No, I say from whenever y'all ran your first Skills for Success course through May of 2024.
It said in spring 22.
Yeah.
Sometime in spring 22 or summer 22.
You did. I don't remember. I can't remember what y'all did.
I'm going to say over 1,000.
That's a really good guess.
I know.
Did you see my number?
No, I did not.
Did you cheat off my paper again?
Because I've tried to do the not so hard math in my mind.
Like the public school math?
Yeah, yeah.
Me too.
The non-engineering person, the person who talks to people about
The
things
math.
they need, not the guy, that's actually doing something.
The math that only has numbers, no letters. Yeah.
But it's the practical.
But seriously, yeah.
It's practical math.
Okay.
I would think it has to be over 1,000.
It's really close. This is an approximation looking at some spreadsheets. Before May of 2024, 950 students.
Whoa.
Completers.
You should go buy an auto ticket today.
So, yeah, and now that does not, and I didn't see anything in the summer or fall. Nothing's in the fall yet from you guys. But just a quick rundown, almost 150 CDL students in that time frame, which sounds like, was that a lot? Well, when it's 3 weeks at a time, yeah, it's a whole lot. That's a whole lot.
Yeah.
Skid steer, 292 in that time frame. Bulldozer, 23. Roller, 13. I thought that would be more. I don't think we're counting that, right?
We're not counting summer because we started the construction academy in June.
I saw
and
that.
We've had 4 of them.
Yeah.
And started one today.
Yeah.
So
I love that theme.
And, 409 food and beverage students.
Well,
That's a lot. That's a lot of high school kids. Fiber optics, 67 people.
It's incredible.
Hotel ops, 20. So roughly right at 950. That's a good guesstimate. And that does not count your academies that you've had. And we're going to get to that in a minute because there were some phenomenal stories come out of that. Not surprised, but so that growth, that went from your team doing what they do, all the programs and Workforce Solutions at Calhoun, that's a huge catalog anyway, before we came along. So then you took that and now you took the same people, added a couple, and you served, I say generally, I bet you've served 1,200 people as of right now. like from start to right now, easily 1,200, if not 1,500. How did you manage that growth from moving into a new role? Because you came in right after I left, and I was starting this job, and you were starting that job.
Yeah.
And we were making it up as we went. I know you were. Of course, you had a pretty good plan because I left you a nice plan. But
that's a plug. Oh, that's a plug.
Kidding. I'm kidding. No,
Listen, I'd have been disappointed if you hadn't went there.
But and I'll be honest with you, a lot of our process came from that dang butcher paper and Post-it notes that we had because it worked for us, but we knew it didn't work as smooth as we wanted to. But how did you take that team and figure out what you were doing in your new role, and then say, okay, we have all this other stuff now that we have to run or get to run. I have to get to do it well. How did you make that happen?
Well, we did it on the fly, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Diane Bridgewater, Jillian Christensen, and Jamie Roberts. They're the ones that have made it go. So we sat down and we looked, and you were there for the very first one we did at Huntsville City, right? I went to them. I was like, hey, I got an idea. Let's run skid steer. And we ran it in between those softball fields.
You were the first.
At Huntsville.
Did you know that?
At Huntsville High School.
Like, I think you were the first one to run a high school.
That rings a bell.
Which kind of spurred us to think, well, can we do K-12? Like, what's that path look like? Well, Doug did it. Like, and it worked well. Like, let's try it again. And you did it a couple times, Huntsville City and Madison County, in the spring of 23.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Skid steer.
Yeah, and so we looked at that, and we're like, okay, so they got to have CRIs. Where's it going to match? And I was like, all right, guys, this is going to be a lot more than what we've been doing. We're just going to spread it out. And so we kind of mapped it. Diane still laughs, because she was the project manager for us over healthcare and leadership. And I said, well, Diane, you're going to get food and beverage. She's, how does that map work in with healthcare and leadership? I said, it's the closest thing.
No.
I said, but you can do it, Diane. I got faith. I said, there's going to be big numbers there. You can handle it. And she handled it great.
Yeah.
But I just said, guys, we've got this out here. We've got this opportunity. Let's see what we can do with it.
Yeah.
And so tried to split it up equitably as much as we could. And so let's go. And those guys just picked it up and ran with it.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I was sitting here thinking, as you were talking, I was listening, but I was thinking about like 1,000 to 1,200 people. So that, that's a general term or thought. But if you think about like, and kind of going back and thinking about impact a little bit, like that's one person, but that one person represents a family or
absolutely.
I don't even know, like, that place in a household, that household's place in a community. And so, while we get really caught up in looking at numbers and that kind of thing, when you think about that one person's life that, you affected, you start talking about 1,200 lives and opportunities and family changes. So what is that like? How does that feed the soul? Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like we're talking about earlier, Houston, I don't get a chance to interact one-on-one with everybody anymore like I used to, but I try to keep a broad view. And when I get those chances, I take them. Two quick stories. There was one young man who had went to prison. He'd for drugs, and ended up in prison, and he's just a hard-working guy, right? And he was wanting to do CDL. And so I said, what are you doing now? Just kind of was talking to him. He said, well, I'm washing dishes. I'm making about $18 an hour, which is pretty good, washing dishes, right? That tells you how bad people need help. He said, I got a new baby, this and that. Well, he went through CDL. He got a job making about $24, $25 an hour driving a dump truck, and went from 30 hours a week to about 60 hours a week. And so just the money change there and the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
That's going to change his family's trajectory.
That's a $50,000 a year job.
Oh, yeah.
In 3
Starting
weeks.
out.
Yeah.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's cool. we have a partnership with Huntsville Utilities and TVA, right? To where our line worker program, they'll sponsor 2 people to come through with a scholarship every class. It's been a great partnership. Well, one day I was asked to go to Columbia High School, and somebody from Calhoun couldn't go, or I can't really remember the circumstances. And I'm sitting there and I'm working on things with Boeing and PPG and this and that, and all this stuff that I have to do. I said, do I have time for this? And I thought, no, I got time. Mm-hmm. So I went and I taught for about 45 minutes one day. I left some of my cards, and I got an email that night about 12:30 from a young man. He said, I just got off work.
Student.
Student. He said, just got off work. I got to go to class in the morning, but I want this opportunity. Well, went through. He came to line worker school. We were sitting there. Part of that scholarship is we feed them lunch every day. They get a gift card for lunch.
Okay.
Right? They get a bus to bring them over to school because, he didn't have a car. Right? So I'm sitting there at lunch, and I'm talking to him, and I said, did you even know what this was? He said, I had no idea what I was getting
Holy
into.
cow. So
he just took my word that I had a good opportunity and said he wanted it, and just came over there and had no idea they were going to be climbing 40, 80-foot poles, any of that kind of stuff.
Okay, time out.
That's incredible.
I got on one of those poles one time, a 40-foot. I got about 10 feet in the air. I said, no, not doing it. Yeah. And terrified. So what was his response when he got there and realized he's about to skinny up this pole?
He said, I'm going to try it.
Did he do it?
He said, oh, yeah, he made it all the way through the program. When he made it through climbing week, we were really excited.
Absolutely.
Halfway through the program, he called me one evening and said, Mr. Doug, I'm not sure to tell you where the bus to go in the morning because me and my family were evicted. And I'm like, and I'm not going to call his name. He's got a lot of publicity and, lots of feel-good stories out there. And, I've told him personally time and again, I said, you're nobody's charity case. Yeah. You've worked hard to get what you get. But I said, I'm so sorry. He said, it's not the first time. He said, I've been dealing with this for a long time.
How old is he? Senior?
17.
17
Jeez. Is a senior, right?
Gosh.
And he had graduated at 17. Well, anyway, they found him a place to stay for a while. He finished line worker school. He still couldn't get his CDL, right? So
because he wasn't 18.
Because he wasn't 18.
Holy cow.
So he came back through the construction academy, which we've been doing, which is skid steer, excavator, dozer, and roller.
So you're talking like this just happened.
This happened.
Is not a couple years ago. This just happened. Okay.
Just happened.
Holy cow.
Right now, right?
Wow.
And we have a partnership with Grayson Carter and Son up in Athens, and we were talking with them, and Halston Grayson was there at school. We were just talking. We had just met, and he kept asking me, he said, what can we do to support you guys? Very sincere. They're a great company, great partner of ours. And, as we talked, finally I said, listen, I need your help. I said, I've got a young man who is coming into this construction academy next week. I said, but he don't have a car. I said, I can get him all the skills in the world, but he ain't got a way to get to work. And told him kind of a little bit of the story. He said, I'll have one of my guys pick him up. We'll get him to work.
Are you for real?
I'm not lying.
I'm not calling you a liar on TV, but
I'm not lying. So
it's unbelievable.
So he graduated construction academy. They were there that Friday, Grayson Carter, because they come every class. Wiregrass has been coming. Rogers Group.
Nice.
Those different people. Grayson Carter actually offered all 19 graduates a job.
Heard about that.
So, but anyway, finish the story.
Yeah.
They were there. He was there, and I'm trying hard not to call his name because I won't keep calling his name. I called him in my office. I said, hey, they want to meet you. He's like, okay, yeah. And, great young man.
He's still 17 at this point.
Still 17.
Still 17.
I said, so this is the guy I've been telling you guys about. They said, okay. I said, what does he need to do? She said, well, I need to contact with him because we'll pick him up, and then he can fill out his application Monday when he gets to work. And he's just kind of looking at me, just kind of looking around because I had been telling him this. He looked, and his grin split his face like it was Christmas morning. He must have gave me 5 different hugs. I said, you got a job, man.
Let's back this up.
You got a job.
Okay.
And he was so excited. It
That's
was
amazing.
crazy. Yeah. And so he's been working for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I keep a check on him. He says, great.
Jeez.
They love him. So
let's back this story up because oftentimes the title of each episode comes from whatever the conversation is. But so I know telling what Sydney or Kayla will come up with here. But and I'm going to phrase it this way: we worked last week and this weekend, Brandi, Kayla, and myself, on developing an impact survey to go out to you guys, and we wanted to go out today, but going to make sure it fits in this system plan. But together, hey, companies, how did this work? How did skills success work? All these metrics, about 5 different questions of what it really did. But as a system, the new motto, is make life better. And so you have this high school kid who was working a second shift job. And the community college, and I'm just going to be generic, but what the power of what we do, the community college offered this kid a card and a 40-minute sermon that you've given 1,000 times. Okay.
Right.
And then he bites on it, and you provide these different avenues. And then because of the relationships you have with the industry, they buy into this young man's story.
Sight unseen.
Sight unseen, just because you brought him to the table. Now, he brought his own worth to the table. But
Absolutely.
So because of your relationships with the industry, now the industry says, let's make his life better. And he was able to go to work on Monday and fill out his application. I don't want that to get lost on the audience.
And they picked him up.
And
they
so,
arranged for one of their people to pick him up from his house until he can, because I'm looking for him a car right now.
Yeah.
So he could fill out an application so that
He could
he
keep
could
the
come to
job they
work.
gave him. Man.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Chancellor Baker is going to listen to this, but we're going to make
Incredible story.
but that's why we come to work, man. And
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
what
You
that
were
also-
talking about gratification.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it wasn't just me. It was everybody. It was the whole department.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody helped take care of him.
And you know what that
But
also
he took care
speaks
of
to
himself, though.
is why ACCS, why the community college system is the community's college.
Absolutely.
It speaks volumes to that because as Houston was walking through that, I was just thinking, golly, I don't know any other, just off the top of my head, any other entity that could have laid that path and then offered that trajectory, even though, he forged his own way. He grabbed the door handle and opened doors that, they were placed in front of him. But if those relationships had not been put into place, and that pathway had not existed, and that's why it is the community college.
Well, if you even go back further with it, if we didn't have the relationship with K-12, would have never been invited in there, and he'd have never had that opportunity, right? So you just got to, it's all
the way back.
All of it.
So I remember going to a lot of those things, and I still do it even in this role because of just contacts I had. And I'm like, it's really not my job to go talk to these high school students. A, because I'm not at the college. I can't do anything. B, I'm not the career readiness director. But I remember all those times I went, and I always wondered, like, I'm going to print all this paper, and I'm going to do all this stuff, and I'm going to drive over there, and who am I talking to that's actually going to listen? I remember going over to Jackson County a whole bunch. And, well, it didn't take long. A bunch of those Jackson County boys came over to line worker. And, and
they're still coming.
And they're still, so, like, you just never know really what that conversation is going to look like.
You really don't. You're affecting people every day, but everywhere you go, right? And it could be the lady or man at the convenience store or whatever. Yeah. Just a little bit of kindness.
Yeah.
Never hurts.
So,
right. So.
Perry Shields and I were on a bike ride Saturday morning down in Hansville. And we stopped there at the Exxon. And I walk in, and this young lady, she might have been 20. And, man, she was like the nicest person ever. Like, it's Saturday morning, and, in a convenience store, like, you don't expect that, like sunshine and rainbows. Right. I'm like, why are you so happy this morning? She goes, well, I woke up, and I have a job. So I'm like, we're talking to her. So paid for my Coke. And I was like, print out a receipt. She said, for a Coke? And I said, well, no. So I wrote trainforalabama.com on the back, and I put my cell phone number down. I was like, if you get tired of being here, look at this website. And we're, 100 yards from Wallace Hansville. I was like, you can go here and find all of that right down the road. And you never know. I don't even know her name. I didn't ask.
Right.
But you just never know what those conversations are going to look like.
Absolutely.
And how much that young man, and you're going to tell us off air who he is and get us in touch with him, I'm sure. But like his whole family tree could change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that eviction process never happens again.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well done.
And he has
man.
lots of brothers and sisters too, and they're going to be looking at him.
Well,
so
that's changing. That's the truth. Probably changing the whole community. It's a bunch of folks that are going to see that. That's really cool, man.
Yeah. That's why getting like caught up in numbers, and numbers are, gosh, they're huge, but gosh, look what they represent. He's one of those numbers. Well, he could be one of those numbers over there, but look how impactful that one person's life just changed because of an opportunity that he heard about. It's just, it feeds the soul of all things that we do. And I know that, people out there who are listening and, probably oftentimes wonder, what am I doing, in my role or my career or whatever. And I say, we are the luckiest people out there because we get to sit back and hear these stories. That's why we love going out to labs, is because everybody carries a story, and it just brings all of that home. It brings joy to the job. Yeah. It brings impact. We say it is our mission field, in a sense, because, we all talked about faith a minute ago. He left the 99 to go after the one, so you had 99 other things to do that day, and you went and spoke to this group, but he was that one,
I was supposed to be there to talk to him.
Yeah. So it is your mission field.
Yeah. And it's, y'all are extremely busy. We're extremely busy. And you have to step back and look. But if you love what you're doing, it's not really like work.
Right.
It's busy, but it's not a chore, right? We're privileged to be able to help people like that.
Absolutely.
So.
Cody Jinks has a song. You know Cody Jinks.
Yeah.
We like the same music. He has on his newest album. The album was called "Change the Game," which I think he wrote up really about the college system. Probably more about the innovation center. But he has one on there. It's called "What You Love."
Oh, I heard that.
And so I shared it with the team a while back. But it basically is like, find out what you love and let it kill you. And it's not really a faith song, but it's just about like having a challenge that's not the status quo, having a mission that's not the status quo, not all kinds of just boring stuff. It's like, find out what really turns you on in the morning to make you get up and go and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And man, like that kind of story right there. So I know what it's like. All of us, man, like carry on with that, brother, because that's phenomenal. If for no other reason, that's why we wanted you to come on today.
There you go.
So
you didn't know it. You didn't know it, but there it is.
But listen to that song on your way home.
I will.
You will cry a little bit thinking about that kid, but it's okay. We all tear up.
And there, and there's a lot more to that story.
I want to hear it off air.
I'll let you know. But it is a blessing.
Well, I'd be remiss if, and Kayla's probably, when she hears about this story, she'll be thankful that we said, hey, we want to get a camera in front of that kid. If he's willing to tell his story, and almost not a documentary, but just hey man, let's capture your story, because other people need to hear this path.
And that business. Yeah. Like they took a leap of faith too. They heard the story. They saw the need. They jumped on it.
That might be the angle.
If they will. So
right.
That's all, whatever, down the road. So
incredible.
It is. And I bet you've got 40,000 stories like that.
I wish I did. I don't have 40,000 of them, but there's a lot of them.
Well, you've got a lot of chances where you made people's lives better. Just doing your job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you may not have that one-on-one. I was just sitting here thinking a minute ago too, because my brain wanders like that. But you may not in your role have the ability to do those one-on-ones, but I know you're like us. We find ourselves in the convenience store, sitting at the table in the restaurant, wherever it is.
You heard about this.
We
are
absolutely. It totally just, hey, here's an opportunity and share it all the time. So even though you may not formally get that opportunity, you're being who you are and wanting to make that impact. You're out there speaking those things to people, even though that opportunity wasn't on your day-to-day meeting list.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's all the time. You're never off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Never
it's
off.
Always telling somebody. I was at the pool on Labor Day, the community pool, and I had Trent out there. We were throwing the ball or whatever, and lady was sitting on the side. She said, "I know you." I said, "Okay, how are you?"
Sometimes that can be good, and sometimes it can be scary.
She said, "You were my advisor at Calhoun."
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "How you doing?" Then I recognized her, and we were talking. She said, "I never did finish my degree." I said, "Well, I got the same email. Email me. I'll look at it and tell you what you need to take." So I'm not in advising anymore, but I can look at it. You need to get back in and finish. And okay, Doug, I'll do that. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm glad to help her, but I'm like, it's you never know. You never know where you're going, and it's good and bad, right? When I had my shoulder surgery, not the most recent one, but this one about 10 years ago or so, I was at it was during Christmas time, and I took off some time, and I didn't shave, and I was in sweatpants and a hoodie.
Oh, you're doing the Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I look
okay.
And I was going through Kroger. I was buying some frozen pizzas.
It wasn't Dunkin' Donuts
or something. And a girl at the register said, "Didn't you used to work for Calhoun?" I was
gosh.
like, "Yeah. I'm still there, believe it or not."
If you weren't 6'12", that probably wouldn't have happened.
No, I can't
blend
hide.
in like I can.
Can't hide, so I have to be on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's a good and bad. But we have a common bond with a student. Same story, like walking him through a whole bunch of stuff in his own life. But that's what you do best. That's why I reached out that so many years ago. I was like, hey, we're gonna need a person over here soon. What's next for y'all? And it doesn't have to be skills to success. We jokingly say all the time, y'all do other things besides our courses. But what's next for Workforce Solutions? What's your next big initiative that you're willing to share today?
We're just going to keep growing for sure. We are hiring another project manager.
Okay.
If you remember, when I come in as business developer, I think one of the questions in the interview, you said, where do you see this? I said, well, I see myself creating so much business, we have to hire another project manager. And I was like, okay.
What are they going to do?
Whatever. We're going to push out our business offerings, like QuickBooks, social media marketing, things targeted at maybe entrepreneurs or people running small businesses. Because when we were a very large mom and pop small business, right?
Yeah.
When we had our dealership, it was ran just like a mom and pop. When it could have been done a lot different with a little bit of training, but you don't know what you don't know, right? You look back, and so things like that, but not exclusively small business. We're going to try to cater to some of that Arsenal crowd too, with some of the things we're doing. So I'm looking to do that and expand the cyber footprint because that's huge. All the DoD offerings, all the Security Plus, and all that kind of stuff that needs to be done. We're still do some, but we're not doing enough.
How can we help?
Can you get some Microsoft certifications?
Well,
in this
that's
thing?
come up before. I mean, it's
we really need that.
So that's tricky because it's like Google, like being a certified Google Docs, and
but it keeps coming back up.
Yeah, it's a third party, like it's not something that we can copyright necessarily. So it is, I don't know.
No, we've been, we've been doing Excel and different things like that, little short-term trainings. Would they let us use their name and us just do some kind of offering? Or could we generically say it but still use their product?
Maybe. These conversations have come up several times, and the fact that it comes up again today with one of the largest community colleges in the system, maybe, it's definitely something to entertain. And it may not be a skills for success. Yeah. It may be another spoke off of the innovation center.
PD side.
Which,
So not a skills. I can't even say it. I can't talk now. Skills for Success course,
catchy.
but in the professional development wing, it's just something that we fund in some way. So I guess you could get a certificate off of it. It wouldn't be a Skills for Success credential, but something.
Even if it was a credential that was recognized somehow.
Yeah.
As a CRI or just something that somebody could say, hey, I've got training in Excel level 1, Excel level 2.
I think if you give us 6 months from the system office level, give us 6 months, and some of those things may shake out. We can do that.
Okay.
And from the Innovation Center. It's just like we have to be so careful of not getting it. We get HVAC questions all the time.
We're not
and we
touching
get
it.
automotive so we get so many questions, and this one specifically, like, this is should be a money maker for y'all. Like, and I know it is, like on the is it not EOED, Ed2Go,
Yeah.
Ed2Go, like, but it,
A little bit on that.
and then
and
customized
then we
training.
do the customized probably more so.
Yeah, so it's hard to balance. Like, if we build it, and then, like, what does it really cost to run that? And so we base our reimbursement on the cost to run the course. So then, well, are you better off just charging them, or is it better to? It's the whole business model.
Well, yeah, exactly. But the reason I keep going back to that Excel is we had so many calls from industry. Manufacturers,
absolutely,
for Excel level 1 as they're bringing people up from the floor, who aren't exposed to it and those type things.
Do you think it would work though with our model of the online and the tutorial, an online tutorial?
Yeah, because when we're doing it, we're doing it customized. We're doing 8 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
and they're having a good understanding of it. And we're breaking that into 2 4-hour sessions. So anyway, that's another topic, but. As far as other things, we're just going to continue to grow and try to, keep serving industry as much as we can in innovative ways. Try to push out some of those offerings. Try to push some of our community offerings too. Those are things that people want.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy for us to do because we're so short-handed. I mentioned my team earlier. They are amazing, all of them.
But
because
they're still people.
There's only so much
Sure.
they can do. Dr. Hodges was good enough to, let
See
me
the
lay
light.
the case out and say I need somebody else.
Well, you guys have been down one. I don't want to get into all that, but you guys have been down a person for a little bit,
Well,
or two almost. Actually, several. Anyway,
yeah.
I don't want to get into your politics.
But so we're excited. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep moving. We'll keep whatever you guys keep rolling out. We will find ways to utilize.
Good.
Right.
You will.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What are you excited to see? I know you said, but he asked what's next.
Yeah.
What excites you about the next? What do you see as the biggest, most impactful of the what's next at Calhoun?
Of the what's next at Calhoun or the what's next coming from ACCS?
Either one.
Ooh.
We're excited.
All right, bring it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, well, I mean,
Either
just,
one.
To see the branching out of the Skills for Success into like customer service and those type things, that's going to open a lot of doors, right, to areas where we've not been able to get in with the Skills for Success because everybody needs customer service.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to seeing that expand. Looking forward to also seeing local businesses get more on board with the food and beverage. It seems to be opening some eyes.
Like an immersive, like in their restaurant.
Yeah.
Not in the Miss Smith's classroom, which is great, but not the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As far as ACCS, what excites me is just the growth, right?
Yeah.
I've been pushing the community college system for 15 years.
Yeah.
Seems like that's what I've been doing is promoting the community college system and the opportunities that are out there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not just a money saving thing, which is out there. It's a great place to start. Economically it's great, but just the skills that you can learn to flip your life in a short time, even if you're planning on going to the university and finishing or whatever, start at the community college, get a skill. If you're going to work your way through college, which is, let's face it, the anomaly is here in Tuscaloosa, is at Auburn or Jacksonville State or UNA. That is not the majority of people have the opportunity to just go to school and live in a dorm.
I was wondering where you're going.
That is, that's what I mean. I mean, hey, and I hope everybody had. I didn't have that opportunity, right? I don't begrudge anybody having it.
Sure.
But that's not the norm. That is not the majority. The majority are paying their way through school, working and going to school, if they go to school.
Right.
Right? So take advantage. If you're not one of the few that, and God bless them, I'm happy they have that opportunity. Well, then instead of incurring so much debt, right, maybe you look at workforce, and this is the way I look at it, is we're the first rung on the ladder. It's not the last hope for somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the very first rung.
That's a great.
Right?
Yeah. That's a great analogy.
So come to us, learn a skill that will elevate you $4, $5, $10, maybe $20 an hour over what you would be making. Then that frees you up to set your schedule better because you've got a skill that people need, and then you can go to school on your own terms. And maybe a lot of those companies, when you get into that level, will pay for your school.
Absolutely.
Right? So, looking at that, and I guess what I'm most excited about is the aerospace from Skills for Success. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be very impactful in my area.
Oh, I bet.
Not everybody's area.
Oh, for sure.
But,
for sure. North
probably
Alabama.
us in South Alabama and maybe some in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? But it's going to be huge.
And I don't want to give off into that pig trail, but what you can take from that aerospace bundle is a whole bunch of other things for automotive, GE, because a wiring harness is a wiring harness. Doesn't matter if it's in a rocket or a washing machine. So
absolutely,
you got a lot of options with that. It'll be applicable. That'd be its own hub and spoke. But before they turn the lights out on us, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of went off on a tangent.
I knew it'd be this way. We have so much history, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that you're in the role that you've carried on and done so well with it, and I'm thankful you're here. And we always appreciate the questions. Your team, and we've battled. And it's no secret. I mean, we've battled over plans and stuff, but you guys always find a way to deliver. And you're always better the next – every time you do it, it's better. And so to Dr. Hodges, when he listens to this, we appreciate that. We appreciate you and express that gratitude.
And that's likewise. We appreciate you guys working with us for sure.
Yeah. You still make terrible coffee, I'm sure, but we appreciate
it's having to be stronger and stronger all the time just to make it through the day.
Well, man, I love you like a brother, and I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad you're doing the work
Likewise.
you're doing. So
absolutely, bro.
We need to go before Nick turns the lights out.
And I would be remiss if I did not say how much we appreciated you guys too. All the help and support. We couldn't have served 1,000 people and changed their lives without y'all support.
Yeah.
And us having the relationship that we do that we talked about earlier, to be able to call you and you say, no, that's stupid. And me to say, no, listen to me. Listen to me. Come on, let's talk. To be able to have that relationship has really helped us to be able to serve other people. And it does not go unappreciated.
Yeah.
In your best radio voice, I would love for you to close us out, but I don't know if you know all the words. So I'm going to do it for you, but I might have you record it before we leave.
Okay.
So thanks, everybody, for listening to Innovation Unplugged. Be sure and like, subscribe, and follow on all podcast platforms. Thank you.